A descent into another world. Bruce Lee, the self-styled king of Bucharest's canals, is going underground.
Hey, help me out. What did you do to the ladder?
As the pedestrians continue along their way, the group vanishes into a shaft on a busy street near the train station. Soon, we're 10 meters underground.
Be careful. It's very hot. Don't get burned.
In the communist era, these canals were supposed to supply heat to the entire city. Bruce Lee takes us to his kingdom, the world of the rejected, the discarded, the hopelessly addicted. This section provides shelter to about 60. It's estimated at least 5,000 homeless people live in Bucharest. Other passageways lead to more makeshift rooms. The group is preparing to move to their summer home above ground. It's far too hot here now. Those who remain behind are apathetic, numb with drugs. No one wants to tell us exactly what is in these syringes.
Don't ask. I can't talk right now.
Many of the homeless are addicted to huffing paint. The odor is everywhere. Bruce Lee sells it and has smeared it into his hair. It's popular with children, too. A cheap high that numbs them, if only for a while.
We're a family here. We're the dregs of society, but we stand by each other. We want to get out of this situation, but the homeless shelters aren't a solution for us. They're like jails. How are we supposed to find our way back into an ordinary life? To have children, a family, to find work when we're locked up. When they're constantly telling us and forcing us to do what they want.
Bruce Lee's arms are covered in scars. When he's high, he often cuts himself.
It's because of our miserable life on the street or in jail, you know? You don't do this when you're happy or have a good life.
Some of the makeshift rooms are lit only with candles. Others have electricity obtained illegally from above ground. The group here has a strict hierarchy. Bruce Lee decides who begs for money and who gets drugs. Many of the others also cut themselves, a sign of their desperation and despair.
I don't think about the future. My life is over.
The homeless near the train station won't accept government aid. The shelters in Bucharest are virtually empty. Even though it's free, only a few elderly people are here. The director of the local social assistance office says the problem is being exaggerated. She says there are only about 1,400 homeless, not thousands.
We
can't force people to come to us. They can earn more from their illegal activities than many people who work 8 hours a day. We have to accept that in a democratic society, people can go where they want. We can't force them. There's no single solution that will work for everyone.
Without his bag of paint, Bruce Lee won't venture a step above ground. He says he grew up in one of Romania's many orphanages in the communist era. The children lived in appalling conditions, hungry and neglected. Many poor families were forced to give their children into care. After the Ceausescu regime collapsed, that came to an end. But that left Bruce Lee to fend for himself. Many of the homeless share that same history.
My family abandoned me here at the train station. I think I was 5 years old. I can't remember.
It's a story that the staff here at the ARAS Foundation have heard over and over. Meanwhile, they're struggling to help the second generation, the children who were born in Bucharest's canals and heating shafts. Most are HIV positive, and many suffer from tuberculosis. The foundation distributes sterile disposable syringes and condoms. It's important work, but the state keeps cutting back on their funding. Their budget today is only 30% of what it was 2 years ago.
Sometimes it all just feels hopeless. Everyone's dying anyhow.
Papi, give me something for this infection on my leg.
I can't help you. You need to see a doctor. I told you, you need to stop shooting up in that vein.
The next day, Bruce Lee wants to take a few homeless teens from his group to a local cemetery. A month ago, one of the women in the group was buried here. Catalina died of an overdose. It's a big cemetery, and they can't find her grave. Or maybe one of them says she's buried in a different cemetery entirely. 4 weeks ago, they were all here for the funeral. But now, no one can remember where she's buried.